Good morning all of you. Now I welcome all the BSc2 students this year. We will be starting our new syllabus for this particular semester. In this particular semester you have to study microbial physiology and metabolism in paper number 5 in semester 3. This paper includes microbial physiology and microbial metabolism. Physiology study includes the effect of environmental factors on bacterial growth, what is growth, different stages of growth or growth phases, their characteristics, and how the environmental factors affect the bacterial growth, including pH, temperature, as well as other type of the substances, osmotic pressure, then certain metal ions, etc., how they are going to affect the growth. And you have to study the transport mechanism, how the molecules are transported inside the cell and how they are excreted out. So different transport mechanism you have to study in this particular topic. The second topic includes microbial metabolism. This is regarding the catabolism of glucose. In microbial metabolism, we have to study different pathways, different cycles, which leads to the degradation of glucose as well as which leads to generation of energy in the form of ATP. So in microbial metabolism, you have to study catabolism of glucose. That means how the glucose is utilized, how the glucose is degraded in different compounds and how there is a generation of energy in the form of ATP. That is catabolism of glucose. Then you have to study fermentation. Fermentation, heterolytic, homolytic fermentation, their features and how energy generation occurs in fermentation process. And third aspect of this topic is bacterial electron transport chain. You might have studied in 12th science regarding the electron transport chain, which is nothing but it is the sequence of different carriers, electron carriers, through which the electrons are transported from one component to another, and during the transportation of protons and electrons to the electron transport chain, at 3-step energy generation occurs. So which are the components of electron transport chain and what is the actual mechanism of energy generation during electron transportation? That part you have to study in the third aspect of microbial metabolism. Now I will explain what is actually metabolism and what is catabolism, what is anabolism, and then we will study in detail how the glucose is degraded to pyruvic acid and how the glucose catabolism occurs in different organisms. What are different types of the pathways for glucose metabolism? Actually, the microbial metabolism, it deals with the study of different reactions or biochemical reactions occurring in the cell. Metabolism means it is a sum total of all biochemical reactions occurring in the cell. All these reactions, whatever they are occurring, the result or consequence of all biochemical reaction is nothing but the growth of the living organism. The growth occurs due to biochemical reaction. If biochemical reactions are not properly occurring, there will not be growth of the living organism. So metabolism is very important aspect of living organism. It is very essential part of the living organisms. So metabolism means what? Sum total of all biochemical reactions. Whatever biochemical reactions are occurring in the cell, all these reaction all together is called as metabolism. But actually metabolism consists two major types of the reaction. One is known as catabolism, another is known as anabolism. Catabolism, that is the degradative type of reactions. Anabolism means biosynthetic type of reaction. In catabolism, what happens? In catabolic reaction, complex macromolecules are degraded to simple one. And during the degradation of complex compounds, energy will be released. In anabolic reaction or anabolism, biosynthetic type of reactions are there. Means what? There is a synthesis of different macromolecules in the cell. We know that the macromolecules including DNA, RNA, protein, other types of the macromolecules. So whatever macromolecules are there in the cell, the synthesis of all these macromolecules together is known as anabolic reaction. But for anabolic reaction, energy is required. That energy is obtained from catabolic reaction. Because in catabolic reaction, what happens? There is a degradation of complex compound. When there is a degradation of complex compound into simple one, energy is released out. This energy is utilized for biosynthetic reaction. So you can say that there is a coupling between catabolic and anabolic reaction, and the coupling agent is nothing but ATP, that is adenosine triphosphate. So in this particular topic we are going to study how ATP is generated, what are different sequence of reaction, what are different metabolic pathways occurring in different organisms, and how much molecules of ATP are generated in all these metabolic pathways. So here I given the example of carbohydrate metabolism, or you can say glucose or any other carbohydrate. You can say also take fat. So when the carbohydrates get catabolized, there is a generation of carbon dioxide and water and energy. That energy is utilizable energy. Means whatever energy is generated after degradation or catabolism of glucose or any other carbohydrate, there is a generation of or production of carbon dioxide, water and energy. This energy is utilizable energy, and this energy is utilized for anabolic reaction. It is utilized for anabolic reaction. So here anabolic reaction means synthesis of different types of the macromolecules. That is one of the important aspect of catabolic reaction. So these anabolic reactions are targeted to bring about synthesis of fats, proteins, DNA, RNA and other macromolecules. And this synthesis requires energy in the form of ATP that is obtained from catabolic reaction. Okay, so this is regarding the metabolism. Metabolism means catabolism and anabolism together constitute metabolism. Catabolism means degradation of complex compound into simple one by releasing energy. Anabolism means biosynthetic type of reaction in which there is a synthesis of different macromolecules, DNA, RNA, proteins, fats or other types of the amino acid you can say. So whenever there is a synthesis, there is a anabolic reaction. That is called anabolism or anabolic reactions. Now we are going to study the catabolic pathways of glucose degradation. All of we know very well glucose is a monosaccharide. Glucose sugar is a monosaccharide. It is simple sugar. It can be easily degradable or it can be easily utilized by the organism. But one thing is that glucose is fairly stable molecule and generally it resists breakdown. So whenever there is a catabolism of glucose, it should be prepared one before the reaction. Any type of reaction. Glucose catabolism, it occurs in different ways and all these reactions ordered together, it is called as biochemical pathways. Biochemical pathway means the pathway means series or sequence of reactions that leads to degradation of carbohydrate or glucose and release of energy. The pathways in which energy will be releases during the degradation of glucose. That is called as biochemical pathway, a set of reaction. That is the biochemical pathway. So this pathway of glucose catabolism may be different in different organisms. The pathways, why they are different in different organisms? It depends upon the presence or absence of certain enzymes. Whenever biochemical reaction occur, any biochemical reaction, there is a necessity of particular enzyme. Without enzyme, there is no any biochemical reaction. So one organism may possess one set of enzyme which will be carrying one type of the degradation of glucose, or there may be one particular pathway occurring in the cell. For example, EMP, for example, HMP. Different, you can say TCA cycle is there. So these are the different biochemical pathways, different cycles are there. Why this variety is there in different organisms? It depends upon the presence or absence of different enzymes in the cell. When particular set of the enzyme is there, particular pathway will be occurring in that organism, leading to synthesis of ATP also and degradation of the glucose molecule also. One organism or one particular organism may not have all that particular enzymes. It will have other type of the enzyme. So that organisms will follow another metabolic pathway, but ultimately the end product will be some type of the acid, but ultimately there is also energy generation. So ultimately in all the biochemical pathway, energy generation is definitely there. Maybe there is a variety of reactions in biochemical pathway in different organisms, but ultimately the energy generation is the major objective of all this biochemical reaction. So that is important here. Whenever glucose is degraded or whenever glucose is catabolized, different acids may be produced as well as energy may be generated. But what are the different mechanisms, what are different pathways of glucose catabolism? That part we are going to study here. So there are three pathways for glucose degradation. One pathway is known as Emp pathway. That is, E stands for Emden, M means Merov, P means Parnas. These are the names of the scientists who discovered this particular pathway. So it is called as Emp pathway. Emden, Merov, Parnas pathway. Or you can say simply glycolytic pathway. This is one major pathway. Most of the organisms follow this pathway and there is a energy generation in the form of ATP. The second pathway is known as HMP. HMP, that is Hexose Monophosphate pathway. Mono means 1. Hexose means 6 carbon sugar. Hexose or glucose you can say. Hexose Monophosphate pathway. HMP, EMP. EMP means Emden, Merov, Parnas. HMP means Hexose Monophosphate pathway. And the third pathway is ED pathway. Entner-Diodorov pathway. Entner-Diodorov pathway. That is ED pathway.